Okay. Test. Well, okay. So here I am. Let me tell people that I'm live so people can follow as I work on these things. Um, as I work on my application, I think that it's a good time to share with the world that I'm live streaming. So let me see how can Can you hear me okay? Okay. There you go. There's a problem with connecting to the AirPods. I hope you didn't miss much. What I'm doing here is fixing the meal planner. Let me share this. Somebody's asking me to share the link. Let me copy the link and share it with the people around. Okay, so let's check and see what happened here. It said that there was a problem and it needed to make sure that there was a filter on the meals. Looking at the error on the code, the issue is in the meal plan data structure. When you select a recipe for a meal, the data isn't being formatted correctly according to the schema validation on the server. The problem occurs in the handle select recipe function. The current implementation isn't properly formatting the meals according to a specific expected schema. Very interesting. The changes. We now properly structure the recipes, filter out the days that we don't have any meals assigned to avoid the schema validation error. We maintain the existing meal type structure, and this should, okay. Seems like the change is pretty simple. I'm gonna say apply. So in this case, seems like the filter now is doing what it needed to do. Let's go back to the server and see if we can have the meal planner work. Let's log in, go to breakfast, select the Cobb salad. Now it's changed, is working as expected. I can now see that the Cobb salad is there. Interestingly enough, I want to see when there is a recipe in each one of the days, but that feature is missing. So I think that the next thing we're going to be working on is going to be to update the meal planner so it actually stores correctly and appropriately the selected recipe so you can see it. Let me see if I can change here. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a pause. Let me get my MS Paint online. And let's put a message here. Be right back. And I'm gonna make it a bit larger. Let me zoom here. Be right back. I'm gonna eat something. And then I'll be back. So yeah, bear with me. I'll be back in a minute. Hello, I'm back after eating some lunch, some sandwich and chips. I'm gonna check that the signal is working, that the microphone is working correctly. Hello, I'm back after eating some lunch, some sandwich, chips. I check that the is working, that the okay. Hello, back. Okay, so now that we have everything working and doing the thing that they need to do, let me finish a little bit down. I don't want it to be distracting. So where are we? What is our current journey? Well, what we want to do now is show the recipes in the weekly view. So what we have here is that we have this weekly view of the meal planner, and we want to show when a recipe is created and added to a day or a meal, that it appears here correctly. So again, as we have been doing forever, you're gonna see this happening over and over again. We're just gonna tell the assistant to refactor this. I'm gonna add a new chat. Why do I add a new chat? Because the thing that happens is that I don't care about the context of the previous work. Remember, when you're working with the assistant, and wait a second, let me open this chocolate that I got as a gift from my wife, Theo. There you go. And it's delicious. And after lunch, I always have to have some chocolate. It's part of my deal. People that know me know that. So what we're going to do is just ask the assistant to help us with that. So let's write it down. Okay, let's start with this simple thing. Let's see what happens here. I'm just asking it for it to update it to show the right thing in the right place. This chocolate is very good. Amazing chocolate. I love chocolate, by the way. This one tastes like South American type of chocolate. This is done. Let's check the changes and I can show what's going on. So one thing is that it's now using the use recipes hook, and it's checking the recipes, fetching the recipes. And with the recipes available, it's going to check if the recipes, if a day, you know, this is looping through all the days, and if any of the meals has a recipe, it's gonna show the recipe in the selected meal, selected day, and the title. And let's see how that works. I'm seeing that this might be problematic when we have too many recipes, because this is gonna load all the recipes all at once. So I have my concerns here, but still, I think that yeah, you will have to deal with this problem when you have hundreds of recipes, and we can test that out later on. Let me apply this change. This is restarting. And let's see if I can go back to this. Oh, use recipes is not defined. I'm going to say So use recipes is not imported correctly. So it's just gonna import the hook in at the top of the page. Yeah. So far looks like it's correctly doing what it needs to do. Just refresh here. And I can see the Cobb salad now appearing. Let's add another recipe and see if we can add multiple recipes. I'm gonna say French toast with pecans. And I normally have these typos in the prompts to see if the agent is actually able to gather context out of this. And yeah, there was a problem. There is an invalid JSON. Seems like the response coming in from the Claude response is not correct. And this has happened before. Claude sometimes, when the prompt is shared with Claude, it tends to do weird things with it. So let me show you what's going on. I have a shell, the console. And the console shows me this. And this is the problem, is that Claude is adding more things that just return the pure JSON format in the response. So the response is correct, but it's adding this context. It's not being concise enough. It's adding a new text on top. So I'm gonna tell this that we're having this problem. Okay. One sec, I'm gonna go check my dog. One sec. Okay, I'm back. Let's check what happened here, what Claude did. So now it said you're a JSON formatting assistant. Your responses must contain only valid JSON with no additional text or explanation. So hopefully what this is doing is very interesting. It's very meta. Is that the AI is writing the prompt for another LLM to respond. So let's apply. And let's go back to our web view and see what happens here. Let's go to the Cobb salad. Let's create a new recipe. One French toast with pecans. Generating the recipe. This is going back and forth. Okay, now it's working. So it has French bread, eggs, milk, brown sugar, vanilla extract, ground cinnamon, pecans, finely chopped butter. And it's whisk eggs, milk, brown, vanilla extract, cinnamon in a shallow bowl until well mixed. In another bowl, mix chopped pecans and half a spoon of ground cinnamon until everything is incorporated. Dip each slice of bread into the eggs. Make sure both sides are soaked up. Let the excess bread. Place the egg coated bread into a bowl with prepared chopped pecans. Press each wet slice of bread into the pecans on both sides, giving it a pat to ensure it's crushed well. Create a skillet. medium heat, add a tablespoon of butter. Place the coated French toast slice into a skillet. Cook until the edges are crisp and toast lightly brown. Flip and repeat until they are both sides. Serve with wet maple syrup, whipped cream, or cinnamon for added flavor and texture. Yeah, I wouldn't add more cinnamon because the cinnamon is already there. So one of the nicest things of this is that if you like know how to cook, these recipes give you like a good thing to get started with. And then I just create the recipe, and I can select this. So one thing that is happening is that you can have only one recipe per meal, and I want to change that. But let's select the Cobb salad here, and let's select the pecan again at night. So now I can actually add different recipes for different days, and the meal plan is updated correctly and successfully, which is great. So I can now have all recipes shown. So our current task then for this AI is that it allows me to have multiple recipes per meal. And this is going to be a large refactor because the database is not going to allow this change from the schema directly. The schema of the database, let me show you. Let me ask this to the assistant, and let's say I want to take the data model so that a meal in a day can have multiple recipes. I want to be able to manage output to add, delete, or update meals recipes in a meal from the weekly view. What is a good plan to make it happen? Okay, so now what I'm doing here is just in regular, this is kind of the job that I did most of the time as a staff engineer. During my 20 years and the last 5 years, I've worked as a staff engineer, both in backend systems, front systems, products, and most of the time what you want to do is ask first for some train of thought. And then after you have the train of thought, you want to kind of challenge some of assumptions if those are incorrect. But the first thing you want to ask is for a plan. So sometimes when working with AI agents, if we just tell them what to do, we need to be pretty sure of the change that is needed. If not, let them walk through the plan. Ask the AI agent to put a plan together. So in this case, it's telling me, update the database schema to change the meal types in meal plans. Update the meal planner component to handle multiple recipes and modify the types and interfaces. So let's go check out what's going on. Look, so what it's saying is that the recipes now, each one now is an array of numbers, and this is just a reference, right? It's updating to have different IDs. Is what the changes will do. Allow storing multiple recipe ID per meal. Yes, that's what I want. Enabling adding multiple recipes to a meal, and allow individual recipe removal from a meal. If you organize it well, list of recipes per meal slot. Interesting that they call it meal slots. I never mentioned that name, but I love that the AI already is having some sort of nomenclature for things. The changes that are happening here is now, considering that meal recipes is not an object, is now an array, is checking for the selected recipes inside the array, and treating the whole thing as dealing with arrays. There is a meal filter, recipe ID, update values, and length format. Is now dealing with the array of recipes for meal, and with that is now kind of handling deleting meals in a better way. So it looks pretty good, you know. A little bit messy, but I mean, that's okay. Okay, let's see what it looks, what does that look like in here. Okay, so let's add the Cobb salad and says, oh, 2 is not iterable. Interesting. So now we're having an issue with our code base. So it seems like the changes that were put together in here is not correct. So handle recipe line 80 has a problem. So let me check what was the change that was introduced there. It says this is assuming that selected meals is iterable, this selected meal. But the thing that happens is that the selected day and selected meal are not set. This might not be present. So what I'm gonna tell it is I'm gonna share this problem. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna just copy this. I'm gonna share this with the agent. So what most probably is happening is that it will add some conditionals to this line 80 to verify that these values are present, because it's possible that selected meals, selected day is undefined, or selected meal is undefined, and those are gonna be, there is some typing in the selected meals that is not working as expected. And yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. Yes, I agree with the problem and the solution. The checkpoint is made. Let's see what happens here. Let's go here. Okay, let's add it. Oh, I have the same problem, not fixed. And this is one of the things that I want to do more with the AI, is maybe have some sort of manual verification that I don't have to go and do these things, because the problem that we have now is that it kind of feels repetitive to go through these problems like that. Handle select recipe still is having problems. So this is what is interesting. So one of the things that this is not aware of is that I cannot tell you about line numbers. Now it decided to have some conditionals for the meals and to define that those values could be empty. I still believe that there is going to be a problem with days, but let's see what happens here. So the refactoring of these applications, one of the things that is missing that we haven't done is the idea of having some unit tests being written by the AI as we work on it. There are no unit tests at all in this case. We have the same issue, and I do believe that the problem is still happening. So I'm gonna actually return to the checkpoint before that, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna revert to this checkpoint, and I'm gonna return to this checkpoint, return to the previous checkpoint. That was my previous chat. And I'm gonna say go to this checkpoint. I'm gonna restore the commits, restore everything, we'll go back to its checkpoint, and then I'm gonna rerun this. Let's see what happened here. Okay, now we can see the recipes again populating correctly. Let's see if I can add another one. Okay, there is a problem here. The expected return is an array, and it seems like the schema was not applied correctly. We need to run this change. So one thing that we will need to do is say reapply the schema change. And after you run the schema change that is going to happen here is the same one as before, I will need to run a DB migration. And the way that we do this here is with the console. We have access to the, where is it? Let me check, to the shell. And what we can do is npm run migrate. And this is going to pull data from the database, and it's going to kind of rerun everything, apply the changes. So now that we have everything, let me close all these together. These divs become really noisy. I believe that this thing should be automatically removed after you're done. It should be more ephemeral. But going back to the web view, if I go here, check the web view again. See, we have the recipes correctly added. Let's add the Cobb salad here. Okay. There is an interesting network problem, and it's that the validation for the API was not updated. So what they have is that the error that is returning is here. And what is happening is that the API was not updated to the new schema. So what I am going to do is I'm going to actually create a new chat. I'm going to say update the meal planner APIs to accept to conform the new schema that supports multiple recipes per meal. This is gonna just go update the routes and the APIs in the routes to deal with creating and deleting. So it's checking the schema, and now it's checking the routes, and in the routes it's like updating to use numbers. In the meal planner is changing the types to have numbers, and then in the home it's actually dealing with the same issue, filtering and including. So yeah, pretty much done. So this is a very important thing as you work with agents and with this type of assistant, is that you want to give them precise context and build from the data up. So you start from your data modeling, then you deal with your APIs, and finally you deal with your UIs. Sometimes though, you can go straight from data model change to UI because the APIs are not changed. But if you're dealing with actions like creating new things or deleting things or updating things, most probably you will have to update your APIs and then deal with the UI. In this case, let's see what happens. And the process is very repetitive, but yeah, I just want to add the Cobb salad here. And now it's loading, so let's see what happens. I was just showing the loading. What happened? Where are the recipes? So the recipes are correct. The meal plan is fantastically correct. No, well, this includes only one. This includes only one. So the meal plan is kind of not complete as I would love to, but I don't understand why it's not passing the loading. So again, one thing we can check is most probable is that there is some sort of loader. So what I'll say is loading on the meal slot. I would love this to be much faster, but the part that makes things harder here is the amount of context you need to upload. And remember that what is happening here in the back is mostly this. Let me see if I can get this done. Let me file new. No. So what is happening here is this. Let me see if I can put this like this. So you have here your project, and then this project is going through Replit. Replit most probably is concatenating this, putting in a context, and then is sending this to most probable Claude. I think that they mention it. They mention which one they're using, right? Yeah, they're just sending it to Claude Sonnet v2. So the thing that happens is that Replit is actually putting together a bunch of these files and tying them together, concatenating them together as context. And then after they put it together, they send it to Claude. The thing that happens is that the process of concatenating on these files, figuring out which ones they need to select. And so there is a process of selecting like just a couple from the whole set of files. So the more number of files you have, the harder it is the process for it to figure out which file it needs to select. And then it will need to kind of like pick up from there, send all that as a context, and wait for Claude response. And the Claude response will be formatted in a certain way that now Replit needs to process it, right? So there is some process here, some parsing that will send the file back to the project and bring in the new version, the diff. And that is kind of the big change here is how can you send context, reset the context, and this is the value of Replit now, is how can you smartly select the files so you can produce the best possible diff. So that diff contains exactly the changes we need. So building the context correctly for Claude, and a lot of prompting happens here. Then Claude will return this in a certain, I imagine, JSON format or XML format that returns the diff and the recommendation. And then it's applied directly to a file, generate a diff. And this diff is just basically, a Git diff, basically building on top of all the Replit IDE capabilities they built in the past. So it's pretty interesting. But let's go back let's check what they did. Yeah, we saw this filtering. Let's see if that fixes it. I didn't apply it. Let's apply it. Apply the changes. And remember that here we're also almost doing like a CI/CD process review live code scenario where we're almost like running inside test environment. And here we have the Cobb salads only. Interestingly enough, I remember adding a pecan crust. Okay, there is the error. There's an error here. That's why it's happening. Selected meals day meal includes is not a function. I knew that refactoring was not going to be easy because of that, and this seems to be like problematic. So meal planner line 251. Let's check what is going on here. So let's go to meal planner. I need to learn the shortcuts so I can go to line CC because this ID is not like the one I normally use. But this change is kind of like the thing we just did. So I'm going to check my Firewall Assistant. I'm sorry. And let's see what this is going to provide us. It's going to give us a smart default of I don't think that will be enough. Yeah, I don't think that is going to solve the problem. Yeah. So I'm going to just mark this here and say okay. Let's see. This is horrible code. I think this is something that I hate to see in what we are doing. It seems like I like the part of the array is now being checked. There are other ways to make this happen instead, but I will propose that after we fix it. So first we check it out and then we fix it. And we are having now the same error that we had before. That is when we do the put. The response says expected number received array. So I'm gonna add a new thing. I'm gonna say let me open up this. Okay, I challenge some of the solution. And this gives me, very interestingly, tells me that actually there is the schema run correctly. So let's reapply this. If I go the and check the diff is not showing, interestingly enough. Okay, so I said okay, now it's redoing the work. So let's apply this. Looks good to me. Okay, look at this. Look what is happening. You see, it disappears. And now I can add 2. But if I add another one, it deletes the previous day. So I will have to work on this. I can add it to multiple days, but when now it's deleting all the other days. So seems to me like the UI is not keeping the state and is deleting the thing. So I can actually just create a new chat. Now I'm gonna say, when adding a new recipe to a meal, the state from previous selections is not being sent to the API, so the weekly view resets and only shows the latest selection. So, what do you think is happening? How can you fix it? Okay. So what is telling you here is that the state was not being stored correctly. So now it's saying is that the issue was when created meals data for the API call, it was only including the currently selected meal type instead of all meals for each day. This fix maps all the meal types. The updated meals stay preserved in the weekly plan. Let's apply it. So instead of using like the application state, is using the latest response from the API, which I believe is what we want. Sorry. So now let's test this out. Cobb salad here, it works. For dinner, pecan crushed. For dinner, Cobb salad. For dinner here, pecan crust. For here, Cobb salad. For here, Cobb salad. So interestingly, it starts to show. I can see this weirdly showing. So now the recipes are showing correctly. Let me create a new recipe and see what happens here. Let's say it's a cheeseburger. This is what surprised me the most, is that these things are gonna get better over time. Better, faster, is gonna return results much faster. This one is gonna be a large one because I'm I ask for a cheeseburger that has way too many ingredients, and there are not many steps. But I don't know how far the AI went on to returning me the values. You have ground beef, 80-20 lean fat ratio, black pepper, American cheese slice, burger buns, tomato, pickles, bacon, caramelized onions. And it tells you how to put everything together, even the caramelized onions. Let's see. Oh, it has a recommendation for stove top or for grilling. I love that. We might need to think about it. When setting a prompt, we can fix it up so it's actually considering which type of cooking are you going to use. Are you going to be grilling? Are you going to be using your oven? Are you going to be using stovetop? You know, any other type of cooking medium heat provider. This is great. The caramelized onions, as you can see, are just considered a complete ingredient. So we might want to add a recipe for caramelized onions here. So I'm going to say yes, create a recipe. Let's select this. So I have the classic chicken cheeseburger. I'm going to add a new recipe. I'm going to say caramelized onions for cheeseburger. And let's generate this recipe. Remember, what we are trying to aim, or what our current quest is, that we want to show recipes in the weekly view. And this is gonna tell you what is needed. Why do we want ground beef? This went too far. It thinks that I want the cheese caramelized onion cheeseburger. No, I want another thing. Just caramelized onions. I don't want anything for cheeseburgers. Okay, hold on 1 second. We might need to improve our errors, but so far, because we are kind of coding, I rather see the actual errors that the API return instead of like these super friendly UI errors. Okay, now we're talking. This is interesting. These ones have like balsamic glaze. This one is delicious. I might need to try that out with Time-Lapse. So let's see what it has. Heat the olive oil, add sliced onions, cook to 3 minutes, balsamic glaze, reduce the heat, scrub the bottom, ensuring caramelizing, season with salt if needed. So one of the things I'm not seeing though is where is the thyme used. So sometimes this happens to recipes, is that in the process of maybe going from Perplexity to Claude decides to kind of like add things that are not there, or Perplexity is returning things and it's kind of like, you know, the part of being optional might be. But let me go check the console and see what was the returning value from Claude. So, well, Claude is actually, you know, returning the thing that needs to return. It's okay. Oh, the problem here was that it was caramelized onion 3 methods, and we don't want 3 methods. We wanted one only. So this is better. This is good. I'm gonna remove the fresh Time-Lapse because I don't see them present in the description, and yeah, I'm okay without them. So I'm gonna create the recipe. I'm gonna select that. So for dinner, I have like everything. Now we have a problem though, is that the recipes are not being shown correctly on these meal slots. So I want to see the full name, and I'm gonna treat this like I want to see the full name. So the problem that I have is the following. I'm gonna add a new chat that says, in the weekly view of the meal planner, all the recipes for a given meal are being truncated, so I can't read them all at the same time. Additionally, I can't edit the selected recipes for a given meal, in case I want to delete only one of the selected recipes. Is that? So while the AI is working, what you see here is that we are dealing with this weekly planner, so you can view the recipes you selected. You can generate recipes with LLMs. I didn't show you yet, but let's say you have a recipe book and you want to update. I had a feature so you can upload an image and send that to Claude, and Claude will generate the recipe for us. And I'll share that in a different stream. I think that's something might be interesting for people. In the meantime, let's check what's going on. I'll update the meal planner component to show you all recipes and allow individual recipes deletion. I'll modify the meal display to show a full list of recipes with individual delete buttons. So in these changes, I will display each recipe on its own line instead of truncating, adding individual delete buttons to each recipe, allowing removing specific recipes while keeping others at the same meal. Update the UI and database when individual recipes are removed. Let's preview. Oh, this is a big change. So let's see what this is about. Okay. Oh, interesting. Now you have this handle update meals function. And it says if there's an existing plan, take the meals in a day and change specifically the meal that it's added. And the week start, weekend, the meals data. And meals data is taking the days of the week and it's updating it with the updated meals. Interesting. Then what else? The UI, now it's added and then delete. So the thing that happens here is because the data model, it's very interesting because the way that this schema was defined, and we're going to check it on the database. What you have, let me see if I can find the database here. I think I closed it. This here. How the database works is that you have these meal plans and you have this meal plan sequence. This is how NeonDB manages everything, is with the ID sequence. And when you check the meal plans now have meals JSON-B. So it's a very document-oriented approach. And so what you need to do is that you don't deal with the relationships themselves. You actually have like just a document that you're updating every time. I think that what we're missing here is kind of like not created at, but updated at. column is missing. We might need to update that. But okay, let's go back to the web view here that we have. Did I say yes to the change? Let me check. The previous change, did I say yes? Let's apply this. Okay. Let's check our usage. So far, we started at $11.94. So far, in a couple of hours, we are going to be on $12.92. So we have used $1 for the last 2 hours of work, which is great. Let's see here. I can see now these interestingly, I mean, now they look better, but not perfect. I cannot delete anything. So I have to tell that I can see it, but when I hover, I cannot hover into individual recipes. So what I'm going to tell it is that it's now cutting off long names. I'll rather have a model that shows me the selected recipes for a given day. And yeah, this looks bad. Yeah, we might need that, but this is accomplishing what we wanted. Let me delete this. The deletion is not working, interestingly enough. Okay, we might need to rework deletion. Yeah, but I mean, the thing we wanted to accomplish today of working on. Let me clear this out. The thing we wanted to accomplish today, I think we have done, is that we wanted to show recipes in the weekly view. What we have now is that we can have recipes, we can create recipes, we can see it in a weekly view. The next thing we are going to be working on tomorrow will be on a new things that I want to update recipes from meals and create. I want to create recipes from images of cookbooks, and finally I want to mix. Allow family to dictate the menu, and this is what we're going to be working on tomorrow. I want to showcase something before we finish today, is that we have this family dashboard where you can add different family members. This is something I worked yesterday and I couldn't share it, but you can add dietary preferences. I can add new ones. So for example, gluten-free, and the type is an allergy. And then I'm gonna create this preference. I'm gonna add the preference gluten-free, and now your family member can have that. I can have another preference that could be meat. I don't know, keto diet. I'm gonna select the type as a diet. I'm gonna say keto, and I'm gonna say create preference, and I'm gonna add the preference to the person. So each one. Another thing that we have is that we have also things like supplementation. So let me add another one that is high in vitamin C. I'm going to create this preference. I'm going to add it here. And what it does is that we, the UI for the dietary preferences is also very interesting. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for today. Remember, tomorrow at this same time, we're going to be working on updating recipes from meals, create recipes from images of cookbooks, and allow family to detect the menu. So I really appreciate everybody that joined today for these couple of hours. I'll see you again tomorrow, and we can keep working with AI agents to build our application. Leave a comment below, leave a like, follow if you're interested in seeing more. If you have ideas, please feel free to comment. Follow me on X. My handle is JBBuzOfficial. I think that's the one. Oh, what is my X handle? I don't remember my X handle. Let me see if I can sign up here, my account, and show you my profile. So yeah, my profile is JBBuz_official. You can find me in X as well. So yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy. Bye bye.